There is something profound, almost sacred, about sitting across from another human being, sharing a meal, and allowing the weight of the world to fall away for just a little while. We spend so much of our lives rushing from one task to the next, buried under obligations, chasing responsibilities, and constantly telling ourselves that we will make time later. But later has a way of never arriving, and the people who mean the most to us quietly fade into the background while we convince ourselves that they understand, that they'll wait, that they know how we feel. Love, however, does not thrive in assumptions. It thrives in presence. It thrives in attention. It thrives in the moments we deliberately carve out to say, "You are important to me." A romantic dinner is not just about food. It is about the deliberate act of slowing down, of stripping away the distractions, of meeting one another fully, without pretense, without the shield of work, routine, or obligation standing between us. It is an act of defiance against the chaos of everyday life, a conscious decision to say that love, that connection, that the person sitting across from you matters. And in a world that pulls us in 1,000 different directions, that is no small thing. How often do we take the time to truly see another person? To sit in their presence, without checking our phones, without letting our minds drift to unfinished tasks, without the noise of the outside world bleeding into the space between us? How often do we allow silence to exist, not as an awkward void to be filled, but as a canvas upon which something meaningful can be painted? The truth is, most people don't listen to understand, they listen to respond. They hear just enough to formulate their next sentence, waiting for their turn to speak rather than immersing themselves in the experience of the other person's world. And yet, when we feel deeply heard, truly seen, when someone looks at us and says, "I am here, and I want to know you," that is where love flourishes. That is where trust is built. That is where something deeper than words takes hold. There is a reason why so many pivotal moments in life happen over meals. There is an intimacy to breaking bread with another person, a shared experience that has bound humanity together since the beginning of time. It is not just about sustenance. It is about communion. It is about taking a pause in the relentless march of time and saying, "For this moment, nothing else matters but us." And that is a rarity in today's world. The greatest tragedy of modern relationships is not the fights, the disagreements, or even the breakups. It is the slow erosion of presence. It is the silent drift that happens when two people occupy the same space but are no longer truly together. It happens so quietly that most don't even notice it at first. The conversations become practical instead of meaningful. The laughter fades into routine pleasantries. The excitement gives way to obligation, and the beautiful unpredictability of love is replaced with the dull weight of expectation. But it doesn't have to be that way. Love is not something that simply exists. It is something that is cultivated. It is something that requires effort, intention, and most importantly, attention. A romantic dinner is not about extravagance. It is about presence. It is about setting aside time to ask, "How are you, really?" It is about looking into someone's eyes long enough to remember why you fell in love with them in the first place. It is about choosing every single day to see them not as an extension of your life, but as an individual worthy of admiration, respect, and undivided attention. Most people don't fall out of love because of some catastrophic event. They fall out of love because they stop noticing each other. They stop seeing the beauty in the small things. They stop saying thank you for the things that once made their heart swell with gratitude. They stop making an effort, but love does not die in flames, it dies in neglect. And if you are not intentional, if you do not actively nurture it, it will wither in the background of your life until one day you wake up and realize that the person you once knew has become a stranger sitting across from you at the dinner table. The antidote to this is not grand gestures or expensive gifts. It is not flowers on anniversaries or well-timed compliments. It is presence. It is the unwavering decision to show up every single day, even when it feels unnecessary, especially when it feels unnecessary, Because love is not built in the big moments. It is built in the small ones. It is built in the way you listen when they speak, in the way you reach for their hand when no one is watching, in the way you make them feel valued when there is no occasion demanding that you do so. And this is why a romantic dinner is so much more than a meal. It is a statement. It is a reminder that in the midst of everything else, this person still matters. That in a world full of deadlines and obligations, you are making the conscious choice to be fully present. To celebrate not just love itself, but the act of loving, because love is not just a feeling. It is a practice, it is a discipline, it is a responsibility. And when you treat it as such, it grows into something unshakable. So the next time you sit across from someone you love, whether it is in the dim glow of candlelight or over a simple home-cooked meal, remember that this is more than just a moment. It is an investment. It is a promise. It is an opportunity to say, I see you, I hear you, you matter to me. Because in the end, love is not about grand declarations. It is about the quiet consistency of presence. It is about the deliberate act of choosing each other, day after day, meal after meal, moment after moment. There is something deeply significant about the smallest gestures in life. People often assume that love is found in grand displays of passion, in sweeping declarations, in dramatic moments that feel like they've been plucked from the pages of a novel. But that isn't where love truly lives. Love resides in the details. In the moments so small they could be overlooked. In the quiet efforts made not for recognition, but simply because they matter. The art of thoughtfulness is precisely that, an art. It is the ability to anticipate another person's needs, to express love in ways that do not demand attention, but instead create a foundation so strong that it becomes nearly invisible, taken for granted only because it is always there, like the air we breathe. A romantic dinner is one of the most profound examples of this. It is at its core an act of consideration. It is not merely the act of sharing a meal, but the thoughtfulness behind it that makes it significant. A well-planned dinner says something powerful. I have taken the time to create something for you. I have considered what you enjoy. I have prepared a space where we can be together. And I have done so because you are important to me. And that is no small thing. In a world that is increasingly transactional, where interactions are often rushed, where people barely have time to sit with one another without a screen between them, carving out time for someone in such a deliberate way is an act of defiance against the coldness of modern existence. People underestimate the power of the little things. They assume that love is self-sustaining, that once a relationship is established, it requires no further effort. But that is a mistake, and a costly one. Love, like anything valuable, requires maintenance. It is like a garden. If neglected, it will not simply remain as it is. It will deteriorate. Weeds will take root. The flowers that once bloomed so vibrantly will wilt. But if tended to with care, if given time, effort, and attention, it will flourish. A romantic dinner, when planned with true thoughtfulness, is an act of tending to that garden. People think that effort needs to be grand to be meaningful, but that is not true. A well-placed word of appreciation, a handwritten note slipped onto a dinner plate, the soft glow of a candle in a dimly lit room. These things are not extravagant, but they are irreplaceable. They say something that words often fail to articulate. I see you. I value you. You are worth my time. And that is more powerful than any expensive gift or elaborate display. Because love, when it is real, is not about cost. It is about care. Think about the moments in your life that have truly mattered. They are rarely the ones that came with great spectacle. They are the quiet moments, the unexpected ones, the times when someone went out of their way to make you feel important in a way that required effort, but not necessarily grandeur. Perhaps it was a meal cooked after a long, exhausting day. Perhaps it was a familiar song playing softly in the background, one that only the two of you recognize as significant. Perhaps it was the way someone made your coffee exactly the way you like it, not because they had to, but because they remembered. These things do not require riches, yet they are invaluable. A romantic dinner is an opportunity to practice this kind of love. It is a canvas on which you can paint thoughtfulness, a moment where you can remind another person, and perhaps even yourself, of the importance of presence. It is not just about the food on the plate, but about the intention behind it. It is the difference between eating and dining, between sharing space and truly being together. It is about creating an environment that fosters connection, that invites conversation, that makes the other person feel seen, heard, and understood. And that is what love is, at its core, the feeling of being deeply known and deeply accepted. It is the assurance that someone somewhere is thinking of you, not just in passing, but with care. It is the knowledge that you are worth effort, that your happiness is a priority to someone else. And this is why thoughtfulness matters so much. It is the glue that holds relationships together long after the initial spark has faded. Passion, attraction, excitement, these things are wonderful, but they are not sustainable on their own. What sustains love over time is the commitment to keep showing up, to keep paying attention, to keep doing the small things even when they are no longer new, even when they are no longer expected. The tragedy of so many relationships is not that they end in conflict, but that they fade into indifference. People stop making an effort. They stop appreciating what once felt so special. They stop doing the things they once did so naturally and then wonder why they no longer feel the way they used to. But the truth is, love does not stay alive on its own. It must be fed, nurtured, and cherished. It must be protected from the erosion, from the dullness of familiarity, from the slow decay of neglect. A romantic dinner, when done with thoughtfulness, is an act of renewal. It is a way of saying, I choose you again and again. It is a reminder that love is not something that simply exists, but something that is created, moment by moment, choice by choice. It is a way of demonstrating that even in the midst of daily life, even with all of its distractions and obligations, there is still time for beauty, for connection, for something sacred. And make no mistake, there is something sacred about it. There is something profoundly moving about taking the time to create an atmosphere of warmth and intimacy, about crafting an experience meant only for two. It is a ritual in its own right, a practice that reaffirms the importance of love, not just in words, but in action. And action is what matters most, because love is not what you say, it is what you do. It is the way you show up, the way you pay attention, the way you prove time and time again that the person you love is not just a part of your life, but a priority within it. So the next time you plan a dinner, do not think of it as merely a meal. Think of it as an opportunity to express something that words alone cannot capture, an opportunity to bring thoughtfulness to life, an opportunity to remind someone and yourself that love is not found in extravagance, but in effort. That it is not about how much you spend, but how much you care. That it is not about doing something because you have to, but because you want to. Because in the end, the moments that matter most are not the ones that demand attention. They are the ones created quietly, with love, with patience, with thoughtfulness. They are the ones where someone looks at you across the table and knows, without a doubt, that they are cherished. And that is what makes all the difference. There are moments in life that linger in the mind long after they have passed. Moments that become stories we tell over and over again. Moments that, for reasons we can never quite explain, become part of the fabric of who we are. And more often than not, those moments are not extravagant, not monumental in any traditional sense. They are simple, intimate, deeply human. A quiet evening, the soft flicker of candlelight, the familiar sound of laughter shared over a well-prepared meal. A romantic dinner is not just about the food on the table. It is about something much deeper, something that speaks to the very nature of love itself. Love, if it is to last, must be nourished. It must be tended to with the same care and attention that one would give to anything precious. It is not self-sustaining. It is not some force that once ignited, burns indefinitely. It requires fuel. And that fuel is presence. It is effort. It is the willingness to create moments of significance in a world that too often feels hurried, transactional, indifferent. A romantic dinner, when done right, is a testament to this understanding. It is a conscious act of love, a deliberate decision to pause the chaos of life and say, this matters. You matter. Think back to the moments in your life when you felt truly connected to another person. It was not in the distractions of routine or in the hurried conversations of everyday life. It was in the times when time itself seemed to slow, when all the noise faded away, and all that remained was the quiet certainty that you were exactly where you were meant to be with the person who mattered most. And what is remarkable about those moments is that they are rarely planned for their impact. They unfold naturally, effortlessly, yet they remain etched in memory because they carried something real, genuine emotion, unguarded vulnerability, the irreplaceable feeling of being deeply seen. A romantic dinner, in its essence, is an invitation for these moments to happen. It is a space intentionally created for connection, for laughter, for the kind of conversations that do not come with an agenda, but emerge simply because the environment allows them to. It is a setting where two people can rediscover each other, not as parts of a routine, not as roles to be played, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner, but as individuals who chose one another for a reason. And in that rediscovery, love is strengthened. People often assume that love is kept alive through passion, through excitement, through the intensity of newness. But the truth is, love is kept alive through the memories we build together, through the moments that remind us why we chose to walk this path with another person in the first place. Memories are the foundation upon which relationships stand. They are the stories we carry with us, the proof that what we share is real, that it has weight, that it has meaning. And the most beautiful part is that we are always creating them, whether we realize it or not. Consider this. Years from now, when you look back on your life, what will you remember? It will not be the routine days, the endless to-do lists, the trivial frustrations that once felt so important. It will be the nights when the world disappeared for a while, when love felt tangible, when you looked across the table and saw not just the person you share your life with, but the person who makes life worth sharing. It will be the way they laughed at something only the two of you understand. It will be the warmth of their hand reaching for yours. It will be the quiet, wordless moments that spoke louder than any declaration ever could. And this is why a romantic dinner is more than just a meal. It is a memory in the making. It is the act of saying, this moment matters enough to be created. It is the realization that love, if it is to last, must be experienced, must be felt, must be reaffirmed in ways both big and small. Because love is not something we simply have, it is something we do. It is in the choices we make every single day, in the attention we give, in the way we show up, again and again, even when life tries to pull us in 100 different directions. It is easy to neglect this. It is easy to assume that love, once established, requires no further effort. But that is how relationships fade. Not in a single moment, not in dramatic explosions, but in the slow erosion of attention. In the night spent side by side, but not truly together. In the conversations that skim the surface, but never dive deep. In the quiet replacement of appreciation with expectation. But it does not have to be this way. Love can be renewed. It can be strengthened. It can be made to last if only we take the time to nurture it. A romantic dinner, done with care, is a simple yet powerful way to do this. It does not need to be extravagant. It does not need to be perfect. It only needs to be intentional. It needs to be a space where both people can step outside of the routine, even if just for an evening, and remind themselves of what they mean to each other. It is an act of preservation, a way of saying, we will not let life make us strangers. We will not allow time to dull what was once vibrant. We will create moments that we will carry with us, moments that will stand as proof that our love was real, that it was alive, that it was worth every effort. And in the end, that is all we have. When everything else is stripped away, when the years have passed and life has taken its unpredictable course, all that remains are the memories we built, the moments we chose to cherish. Love is not measured in time, but in depth. It is not about how long we were together, but how deeply we lived those years. It is about the nights that turned into stories, the simple acts that became defining moments, the dinners that became something more than just meals. So, take the time, set the table, light the candle, put away the distractions, look across from you and truly see the person sitting there. Ask them about their dreams, listen to their thoughts, laugh together, be present. Because one day this moment will be a memory. One day you will look back and realize that the smallest things were in fact the most important. One day you will understand that love was never about the grand gestures, but about the quiet, consistent, intentional acts of care. And that is what makes a romantic dinner more than just a meal. It is love, served on a plate. It is a story waiting to be told. It is a memory in the making, one that will last far beyond the last bite, far beyond the evening itself, far beyond even the years that follow. It is a testament to what truly matters, and that is something worth savoring.